very much for the opportunity to talk today. I'm going to be brief, but when I've finished, I'm going to upload something to the chat as PDF to the chat, which breaks down a little bit of what I've said, if that helps. And I'm also, it's got my contact details on there, so I'm available if anybody wants to contact me afterwards. When I thought about this, I thought, what's the most important point that I can kind of start with? I mean, for me, if you are a victim of pet theft, that's not your fault, as it is with any crime. It's very easy to blame yourself. It's very easy for other people to blame something you've done or haven't done. It's the criminal's fault. It's not your fault. And I think it's really important to remember that. Now, I'm often asked, who commits pet theft? And it's really difficult to be specific on who is behind it. Yes, organised crime is behind it. Yes, opportunist theft is behind it. And yes, some dogs will undoubtedly end up in puppy farms, but it's such a complex issue that solving it is also going to have a complex solution, as it is with any other crime type. Now, it's important, it's critical that there are the effective new laws. And obviously, thanks very much for Dan and for everybody at SAMPA who's doing something to try and change the laws, because clearly it's wrong. It's really important for partnerships and cooperation, coordinating response. Liz said earlier, there's 43 police forces in this country, or in England and Wales, and then you've got Scotland on top. And everybody's got a different approach. And it's really important to have some kind of coordinated approach, because that's what criminals will exploit. Now, the other thing I thought about is, and it's interesting listening to what Melina said, if you become a victim of pet theft, the first thing you're going to do is panic. And that's logical. It's like if you look, your child goes missing. Now, it's easy to say, and I appreciate it's not easy to do, but for me, what I would do is I would try and just take a moment. If that happens, take a moment and enlist the help of friends. There's a lot of things that you can do. And if you try and do them yourself, you're emotional, you may miss some opportunities. So the first thing I would think to do is to try and take a few moments, tell your friends, get them to help you. One of you report the matter to the police, somebody contact the neighbours, look at CCTV that's available, somebody else start looking at social media, getting something out there, somebody else contact the local news. Don't try and do it all yourself, because you will miss an opportunity. Then really the other thing that I did really want to cover was just have a very, very brief overview of what should happen when you report a dog being stolen. Now, again, Liz said every police force is different and different guidelines. So what I've tried to do is generalise here. So you will report through 101, either through an online report or through, you'll call up or you'll try and do something online. That report will go through to like a desk, which is staffed by police staff or a uniformed police officer. It won't be a detective. Now, they should give you a crime number. Most police forces want to crime everything they can, because crime numbers equals resources that goes into policing. So they should want to crime it. If there are lines of inquiry, that help desk will try and do those. If they can't, they will pass it on to other trained investigators, which again, in the case of pet theft, is probably going to be a uniformed police officer. It won't be a detective. If there are no lines of inquiry, then they'll file a case. Now, crimes are generally recorded under the principal crime rule. So depending on what the level of sentencing is for that crime, the most serious one will be what it's crimed under. So if a dog is stolen and there's criminal damage carries 10-year sentence. Dog theft is 7 years. It'll be crimed as criminal damage. I mean, that sounds crazy, obviously, but that's how it works. If you don't agree as a victim, then you have the right to ask for a victim right to review. So you can ask for an inspector to review that case and say that I don't think it's right that you filed it. I would like you to do it. And it should be, reviewed by that inspector. Now, individual crimes are assessed under a certain number of rules, and they use a number of mnemonics like Thrive and Thor in a Cambridge model, whereby they look at things like threat, harm, opportunity, and risk. And it would appear to me that a lot of the work that's being done on pet theft at the moment is raising the public confidence issue, which is why some forces are starting to see this as a threat to them, because it's not good for policing to be seen to be doing nothing about it. And as a result, more crimes are being investigated. So in simple terms, campaigning works. Put the pressure on and police forces are more forced to do something about it. At the same time as you're reporting that crime, all of the crimes are being analysed, and then those crime trends will be attracted. They'll attract more policing resource, which will go towards neighbourhood policing teams, such as you potentially see in Nottinghamshire, where someone has actually got dedicated to look after pet theft because it's recognised as a crime trend. And for me, this is the exciting bit. For everybody else, this is boring. This is numbers. Home Office classifications. If you murder someone, that's a Home Office classification crime number 1. If it's a burglary, it's a 28. If it's a theft of mail, it gets its own classification number, 42. Sadly, if it's a pet, if it's a phone, if it's a computer, if it's a wheelbarrow, it gets lumped under Home Office classification 47, and it kind of disappears into this great big black hole. In theory, police forces should be able to individually access their databases and pull out all the crimes in relation to pets, but it really depends on how they've recorded it in the first place. So for me, a fairly simple win would be to change the Home Office classification and make it at least as important as an envelope. So that's kind of a very, very quick summary. As I say, I'll stick my this PDF in the chat field, download it. I'll probably do it a couple of times because I see there's a few messages in there. My Facebook, the Hidden Insight Facebook page is on there, and my email address is on there. If you have any questions, please contact me and I'll try and help. Thank you.